So another thing that I know that both of you guys do to get that broadcast mix really rocking is how you sort of include the ambience of the room with audience mics and just how to dial those in. And so let's talk for a minute about where they're placed in the room, how loud they are, how you get them, timed right with the PA and all that, because I know there's a lot to that.
I know the way that I use mics, the audience mics and room mics and stuff is a little more traditional. I heard you talking recently about why and how you do your stuff.
Yeah.
And how you've picked up using them for your broadcast side. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so they were originally just used for in-ear monitors, just so the band on stage has some semblance of what's happening in the crowd and get a space in your mix. So they're on really tall, like 10, 12-foot stands on the far left and right side of the stage, probably about 40, 50 feet apart. Shotgun mics, and they're cheap. We're like $300 Rode shotgun mics. Nothing's really that special about them. But it really, like the placement of those, it's pretty important, and it picks up a lot of just the audience. Like the PA doesn't really feed into that a lot. So then when broadcast started becoming more of a priority, Facebook Live, even though it's in mono, things like that, then it's we'll just send those to the matrix that we're gonna send to the broadcast mix. So we don't really treat them any differently. There's a little verb on those, but it's pretty simple.
Are they EQ'd?
Yeah, all the low ends dumped out.
Yeah.
Some of the low mids dumped out.
Yeah.
They're kind of sparkly. We want those kind of bright.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm doing audience mics, but not with shotguns. The way our stage is, they would kind of be really obvious if they were just right out there. So I've got Earthworks mics hanging they're actually hanging from the catwalk, and there was no scientific reasoning for that. It was because we could get to the catwalk. And we lowered them down where they're really like 15 or 17 feet above people's heads, pointed straight down, and they're omnis. And you know what? It works. We dump out all the low mid, and really accentuate the applause, which is 1K.
Yeah.
Accentuate it, and they work the same way. It's sparkly, it's nice, you just hear that. But in addition to that, we put up some room mics. And that's kind of the different thing.
Okay.
And so I put up room mics that are near where I mix, so just kind of to the left and right of me, and I use them to substitute for what I'm hearing in the room. So that's audience, crying, laughing, clapping, and the PA. I mean, hearing everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird because you're like, why do you?
They're pointed at the PA.
They're pointed at the PA.
You hear the full mix back in these
full
things.
mix, but you do in your ears. So I was like, well, if I was going to build this broadcast mix, why wouldn't I want to hear what I'm hearing as I'm making the decisions of what the mix is going to be?
Interesting.
So you're trying to make it sound like somebody who's standing in the audience.
Yeah. So I've had to tweak the EQ on those because, I mean, your ears have EQ, let's face it. So adjust the EQ a little bit and a little bit of compression, just little odds and ends to make them feel like, wow, that sounds like when I stand there and mix. So feathering that in, so that's just like one extra step, to go to it. The biggest part of that though is you have to time align.
Yeah.
It's critical. So how do you do it with shotgun mics? Or is it because it's so close to the
Yeah,
PA?
they're on the edge of the stage, so
they're in alignment anyway.
Yeah.
Mine is, they're all, so you've got, man, I don't know, your audience mics are maybe 40 feet out, and then your room mics are almost 80.
Yeah, because you're 75 or 80 feet away from the PA where you're standing.
So time aligning your console and these two sets of stereo mics is critical. Trying to get them and time aligning, just getting them all to sound like they all picked up what they heard at the exact same time.
Right.
So getting that worked out.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, you can add tons of, I guess the room mics bring presence.
Yeah.
So if our audience mics bring clarity, and you said sparkle and all that.
Yeah.
I think the room mics bring the bigness that we already talked about. Like,
got it.
It's just another way to get there.
It makes sense. We did a live recording and we put crowd mics all over the room. We put them everywhere just for overkill, make sure we got what we wanted. Well, I put 2 large diaphragms at front of house facing the PA, and then went and asked the guys later, like, oh, how'd those mics turn out? And they're like, oh, they weren't really usable. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, it just sounded like the full mix. I'm like, oh, well, it's a bad crowd mic.
Yes.
But a great representation of what the room feels like.
That's exactly
it
why.
sounded like a board mix.
Yeah.
It was a little shocking. It's like there's room and space and ambience, but it sounded like the board mix laid over it.
And you can use really nice microphones. Dude, I've been on flight aids where I did it with 58s. Popped them up in the room and
Nice.
just get the sound of the room, and it's worked. So,
But the biggest thing is to have the timing
yeah.
dialed in. I think that's the biggest mistake some guys make is they forget that piece and
Yeah.
then it just sounds like mush.
It's smeared.
Yeah.
It's smeared. And so if you couple that with what we talked about with being thin and
Yeah.
too much low energy in the room, not enough in the mix, and then you've got this smeared time aligning, you're never really going to get the broadcast mix happy. But if you got to figure all that stuff out, it's actually sometimes, and this might be heresy, but it seems like sometimes it's more about getting these factors figured out than the actual mix.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean,
Just-
I understand that.
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
yeah.